Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Code with Chris. Um, so we're gonna have some fun today. Um, I've been talking to Joel Drapper, who is the person that wrote Phlex. Been talking to him, messaging him through Twitter, and he has agreed to drop by a little later to give us some pro coaching on Phlex. And he's going to help me kind of test out the code together, the pair programming tech that I'm going to use, or hopefully use. Hey, Marco, welcome. So let's just review where we were last time. We were starting to get into Phlex, not a lot, but we were getting into just seeing what kind of testing capabilities we would have with it, and how big a deal it is to test. And by the time we ran out of time, I hadn't yet figured out how to get it working. We didn't have a passing test, right? Which, bad boy, never push failing tests to the master branch. But I haven't started doing feature branches and stuff. We're keeping this simple for now. We'll get into that in a little bit. But we did actually have a PR submitted to GitHub on this project to fix that. So we'll be taking a look at that, and it'll be some good exposure for junior devs who haven't seen this before, or like doing a code review, looking at a PR, how you submit them, all that kind of stuff. Hey, Drew, welcome, man. Glad you guys could stop by. All right, so let us just take a quick peek at the wrong place, at the Rails schema. So this is what we have so far. We've got these 5 models, and the authentications is stuff that's kind of auto-created by Sorcery, as is users. So there's nothing special in those yet. But users will be either the dungeon masters or the players, right? So a dungeon master can have a campaign, 1 or more campaigns. Campaigns can have one-to-many play sessions, and campaigns can also have one-to-many notes. Notes can be scoped to a play session, but we got to figure out a way to kind of make that fluid, because I may have some leftover notes from this one that I want to move to the next one, right? So that's going to be a bit of a weird thing that I don't think I've ever really done something like that before, because I've just never had a need to. But this should be fun figuring that out. Okay, so, and we've got just our basic Rails structure here. Nothing special or fancy when we're using RSpec for tests. Just going over all this review stuff in case people are watching that haven't been here before. So I also started doing some very, very basic, kind of starting to wireframe out some things. So, and I mean extraordinarily basic so far. We'll detail this up later, but I'm just using just in mind, because I've used it before and I like it. I think it's really good. You could do prototyping and live work and stuff like that. Anyway, so I'm thinking, just basic layout and header thing, side menu, and then for the main screen that the game master sits in, most of the time it's going to be a session screen that has all the notes for it up here, and then a maps or images section that can be expanded or not. So this is kind of the generality of what I'm going after. We'll have to do the CRUD stuff for the notes. We'll have to add a model and do the CRUD stuff for the maps and images, but we'll get to that. But this is kind of where I'm trying to head. Okay, everybody good? Everybody caught up? Everybody happy with that? I'm happy with that. All right, so let's take a look at this PR. There we go. Not cooperating with me. Okay. So Rebuilt was nice enough to send us a PR. He did some looking around and figured out how to get the test to pass. So he submitted this in like the day after we streamed, which was really awesome of him. So he got the test to pass. He said it looks like the modifications to the Rails helper that we need were not needed, so I reset that file, which is perfectly fine. So apparently, we took out this stuff that we had added in the Rails helper, and we added, he changed it to this call instead of this call. So I want to see if this actually passes. So I'm going to go ahead. Hello. Hello. There you go. Do it. Now, normally you would request reviews from people. I'll handle this for now because I go and kind of stuff. That's fine. So I'm going to go over here and I am going to add my review and say I approve these changes. So now it's all approved. Everything's green. We got no stuff. Now, one of the things that you would normally do in PRs like this is you would add CI/CD. So your CI, if PR gets pushed, it runs your test suite, and if any tests fail, it won't let you merge it until all the tests pass on that branch. So that's a good thing. We don't have that yet. I'm probably gonna do with GitHub Actions, but I'm also looking at Circle CI and some other things to see which one maybe we want to do. If anybody has recommendations or desires to do particular CI stuff, let me know and I'll look into that. But my leanings right now are GitHub Actions, which I haven't used before, but I want to figure out. So I'm going to go ahead and merge this into the master branch. And I know you experienced programmers, this is just boring as hell and it's a million, but you know. All right, so that should be merged in. So if I go back to main branch and look at the commits, got his stuff. Right? Yay. All right, there we go. So let's go pull that in. I've got it now. And in theory, I should be able to run this test and have it pass. All right. Rebuilt is a genius. Awesome. Awesome work. Thank you, man. Okay. Now, this test is obviously pedantic. We were just doing it to find out how we needed to connect testing to Phlex. So this is not actually a useful test. It's not meaningful at all. So what we want to do is start building out this other screen, right? I'm not going to do a lot with the headers and stuff. Screw with that later, but we want to go into the views and the layouts. I'm just going to leave it with the application layout. Later on, what we're going to want to do is have a layout for the GMs and a layout for the players, different layouts for those, but I don't want to get into that yet. We don't need that yet. So we'll just stick with the basic layout. And so what we want to do is we want to have play sessions working on those views. So I'm going to do, I think, the show. Now, I'm assuming that we could turn the layouts into Phlex as well. Something I'm going to want to ask him about. I mean, it's a view, so I can't imagine you couldn't. All right, so we're going to use our index spec from the notes thing as a template here. I want to require that. We want to describe can have layouts in Phlex. Thank you. Yes, I was reasonably certain you could, but and that may be a good thing to start with. Is we'll go into the layout and let Joel show us how we would convert that to Phlex, because there's already some ERB there, and I think that would be a good exercise and help us understand, because it's pretty basic, but I think there's enough there to chew on a little bit. So we're doing that, and we're going to want to let the output be right. Then it does a thing. So that'll be our test. Now, we know if I were to run this right now, it would blow up because we don't have any of this stuff. So, first thing we need is a session. And then rather than me retyping all that crap, yeah, I know I don't need a space in there. That's just my OCD. Okay, it's fine. It's fine, chat. All right, everybody down with this so far? Right? Now we need some routes. Right? So if we do then I should have my session stuff, right? Yay, we have it all. Now, we may not actually want to have all of the resources for these. We may trim these down some, but for now, we'll just do the basic CRUD stuff. And we'll make adjustments later. Okay, don't need this. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. The garbage out of the way so we can concentrate. All right, now, let us make sure start with the pedantic just to make sure we've got the framework set up. What did I do? Well, yeah, because I added the view. No, that's not right. Yeah, so see, that's not the right place. Why'd you guys let me do that? Move. Did I? Down. Spec. Specs. Crap. Okay, I gotta put up that in a second. got to add a there we go. Right. Now, I mean, same error, but we're in the right place now. That's because we don't have the view yet. No, just RB. Back to old habits. All right, so using this as a template, I go right now. Show should require an ID. So if we go look at our routes, no, the show it in there. If we go back and look at these routes, the play sessions show requires an ID, right? So we're actually going to have an ID for the thing, which I would griping about here. Style method call without args print. Sure, it's not what you're griping about. Oh, just hadn't cleared. Okay. So now for our test, what we need to do is we need to create one of these play sessions. Do I have set up right? Sure. Okay, so here, not in there. Here. Okay. And this is to be that. Oh. Gonna make me do that, really? Okay. Fair enough. I don't need to do it there. I can fix it in the bot. Okay, I'm probably going to need some other things, but let's just one time work our way through the tests. Because that's what we do. Okay, so the owner must exist, right? Fair enough. I don't know if I'm going to be required to yet. We haven't really implemented any of the authentication stuff. Owner must well, didn't I make an owner list? Does factory bot have to have do all the foreign key specifications for that? Out here, chat. What am I doing wrong in the factory bot that it can't translate this? Because it should, because it's all set up on the model. Or the campaign model. No, 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 no. That's because I'm an idiot. That's not on the play session, that's on the campaign. Brr. Right? Okay. It's alright, I'll get rid of the derps in a minute. Okay. So... balls. Really need... I need to pull the faker gem in so I can get that stuff done. What am I gonna have to put in here? Gonna make me put a password in. Why would you expect 0? Oh. Tell it should. Oh, okay. Well, how do you do this? How do you do this in Phlex? So I just need to overwrite the initialize. So I want show ID. I would assume that what he said. Yeah. But all right, so that should be a thing. It needs to go on the other side. Sure. You're right. I thought they changed in 3 or 2.7, one of those, where it could be either side. Or am I thinking of something else? Anywho. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I thought though that they had changed something where if I didn't actually have a value that I could do that, but maybe I'm thinking of something else that I read. Anywho, that's not why I did that. It was actually just a muscle reflex because I'm usually dealing with APIs and JSON notation and stuff, so just used to that side with the colon, but I wanted to try to use that as an excuse and sound smart. Did it work? Did I sound smart? Like I knew something? Oh, and I can't just... Do you want... All right. Big Bren. Smirt. Ever smirt. So I'm wondering though, so he's showing an example, a keyword argument, a named keyword argument. I'm wondering though, is there actually a benefit to doing that? Why would I not just do that? Is that not, is that... I think I told you to change that. I don't know. I mean, that'd work. I don't understand why I would, in this particular case, I don't think there's any benefit to doing that. What are you talking about? Expected 0. Does work, but gets weird if you have a bunch because they're position dependent. Well, true. Yes. Right. That's, in this case, I wouldn't ever want a default value. If this is missing, that's a problem. So I don't want it to default. And in this case, I've only got one. So your point about the ordering stuff, position dependent, is absolutely true. But in this case, it buys me nothing unless I'm missing something. What I don't understand is why it's squawking about, I mean, you do expect to spell this wrong? No. Oh. Ah, good point. That is something. Make it required. Okay, come on. I shouldn't have to call super. That shouldn't be a thing. Listening to RuboCop too much. Yeah, there we go. That's good. That's all good. Yeah, I I ended up not. I don't use named arguments a lot because I very much try to keep my parameter list down to 1 or 2 params as much as humanly possible. So named arguments are just not something I do very often. Yeah, so I don't want super in there. Just shut up. Shut up, Rubo. Crap. I'm kidding. I like RuboCop, or I wouldn't have put it in. All right, so is super common with view component and Phlex. Well, that may be why I don't encounter it much, because I don't do a lot of front end stuff. I haven't, in case you haven't noticed, I haven't been doing a lot of front endy things. I'm mostly, when I do have hands on keyboard, it's back endy stuff. Which is why I know absolutely nothing about Phlex yet. All right, so just to do, oh, I can't do this because I don't have a. All right, going to the IRB. All right, Joel Drapper is dropping in.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Joel?
Pretty good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Chat, can you hear Joel okay?
Awesome.
Chat hasn't answered yet, but I think so, because you're getting.
Got an answer.
You're getting.
I might open it in a tab and just double check.
Yeah, that's fine. And then we will see if we can get you. Okay, Marco says he can hear you. So we're all good. Now, I can also get your pretty face on here.
Yes, I should probably share my video. Don't have my normal camera, unfortunately.
That's all right. You're still prettier than me, so. All right, now let's see. Let's take a hot second here and see if I can figure out how to do this code together thing. So apparently,
yes. Let me
do this.
Send me a link. I can jump on.
And let me. I'm just gonna Twitter message you the link. If my computer would up here. There, so let's see how that works.
Right. I'm gonna guess that this is Chrome only.
Is it?
Just to be safe. Well, I don't know. Just to be safe.
Okay.
Let me try.
I mean, I did a test from my local to my virtual machine with this, and I was in Chrome, and that seemed to work. So.
Right. Let's do that.
Now, I will say that Code Together very generously gave me a free license since we're doing this kind of as an educational thing and we're streaming it. So thank you to them. They reached out to me on Twitter, and I don't know how they found out I was doing this, but very nice of them, and it looked like it would be a good solution here. So we're going to allow you in. You have joined the session, it says. Oh, and look, there's your little initial.
Excellent. Yeah, I can see. Right. Skip this. Oh, and I can do things.
You can do things. All right.
Pretty
How
good.
awesome is that?
Responsive.
All right. So this, I mean, obviously this test is very pedantic. This is just kind of setting up to start understanding Phlex testing capabilities and stuff like that. So this test means nothing. I just wanted to see if I could get all the stuff set up to do an actual thing. So one of the things that I thought would be a good thing to start with is to actually go into the kind of default word I'm looking for. Brain lock, not in spec. That's why I'm having a problem. The application view.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of see how we would convert this to Phlex.
Right.
Because this is fairly simple, and so I think it'd be a good introduction for us to.
Sure. Yeah. That sounds great. How are you doing the testing, by the way? Is this this isn't using the new unreleased testing stuff yet, is it?
It is not yet.
Okay.
We had one of our viewers. I was struggling a little bit to get it to work, so one of our viewers gave me a PR and kind of set things up like this, and this seems to be
nice.
working.
Okay.
So, we had gotten almost there at the last show, but there were still a few tweaks to get it to work.
Right. If we run into any issues, we can probably just switch to using Phlex from the main branch where we have some test helpers. But if this is working, let's stick with this.
Okay. But I'm all for latest and greatest test helpers. So, I mean,
they're not very well tested yet, but they might work.
Well, I mean, this is all about just learning and testing and playing. This app has zero benefit to anybody but us. So.
Awesome.
Be happy to test your stuff. But anyway, let's take a look at the basic application view, and let's see what we need to do to just get this thing rolling. Phlex. So I'm assuming what we'd want to do. Oh, this is already a Phlex view. What am I'm talking about the layout, the application layout. This I want to convert to Phlex.
Follow. Okay, right. I've just found out how I can follow you, so I can see where you go.
Oh.
Because that wasn't working for me. But now I can see what you're pointing at. Yep.
Ah. All right, cool.
Oh, cool. And we can change driver as well. This is cool.
Yeah, I'm still learning about this, but the glossy brochures were pretty nice on this code together.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of enthused, but all right, so what would be our first step in taking an existing ERB, and I want this to be Phlex?
Right. I think that judging by this page, there's nothing unique on here.
No.
We should probably just run the layout generator.
Okay.
So do we have a console on here that I can run?
Right down at the bottom?
Or maybe you could do it.
Can you get to here down at the bottom? I don't know if you can see.
Let me see if I can type in here. Wait, that's specs. No, I don't think I can put anything in the console.
Okay.
If I just switch back to you, though, I can probably. So if you run, I think it's bin/rails g, and then Phlex layout.
One word, colon, what?
Phlex : layout. Yeah.
Just that?
Yep. And I think you could give it a name. Maybe just call it layout with a capital L. And
class
let's
name.
see what that generates. Did that work? It should give us layout.rb.
And it in fact did.
Right. Okay.
Look at that.
So so this view is slightly different to normal views in that it includes this Phlex Rails layout. And that is basically an adapter, or rather it includes adapters for various helpers like CSP meta tags, CSRF meta tags, and things like that.
Okay.
So these aren't available in all the contexts, but in this context, we have them available. I think this is probably enough to be going with. It gives us an HTML tag ahead with the title, and it gives us a body tag with a main element in it.
Okay.
So we can probably just replace application.html.erb with this. So yeah, where do you have a view that represents a page?
Yeah.
Yet.
So here,
if not, we can generate one.
Very basic, but yes.
Switch to that. Or I have to follow you. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So we have notes index. So in here, we can render the layout. We can give it a title, notes, and then just indent this and see how that looks.
Oh, wow. That was weird on my side.
Oh,
That got
What's happened?
goofy. I don't know. Something locked a little bit.
oh. Has it not? Oh gosh, it's fine on my side.
Really? Yeah, it went all
Yeah.
kinds of weird.
I think their CRDT is slightly broken.
Or it could be my machine. There's some other stuff running in the background that I probably should.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
module
can't seem
name.
to type. Why don't you do the typing?
Yeah.
So basically you want to say render layout.new. And then yeah,
like that.
exactly. So give it a title. I think title is a keyword argument by default. So title would be notes. And that should work.
Okay. It's got all.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay.
Is it maybe because we tried typing at the same time or something?
Well, I wasn't typing, but I'm not sure. Okay. Well, I'll have to do some research on that part, but we'll get it all figured at some point. That's the point of beta testing.
I mean, I can always download VS Code if their extension is better than the browser.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well just be a browser thing. But,
yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to keep trying. But okay, so this should just work. You say?
Yeah. We may need to turn off the layout in the controller now, because otherwise we're going to have the layout from application.html.erb, and then we're going to have another layout coming from layout, views layout, basically.
Okay, so we just
so
wanna...
we can, if you just jump to the controller, you can just say, you know what, this code thing is bugging out again. I can't seem to follow you. Yeah, you can just say layout false, I think. Yeah.
All right.
And then that should work.
So let us see. So this is just...
No, what are we getting?
Syntax error. Because I'm a big numpty.
Controller.
I just put colons after everything. It's fine.
Right. There you go. Right,
Son of
let's
a
look at
gun.
the source code. Do we have all of the HTML tags and everything? I switch back to Zoom so I can see what's going on here. Yeah, looks like we might do. Yeah, looks like we've got a meta tag and then a body with a main. What's that below the body?
This is the profiler stuff. It's the...
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nothing to do with you.
Cool.
So yeah, this is... That was easy. I like easy.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a bit different because we don't implicitly wrap everything in a layout, but that gives you an opportunity to pass to the layout explicit arguments like the title, as opposed to everything just implicitly being able to access instance variables on the controller. So we explicitly render index, and we can pass that index view any arguments that we want, and then the index wraps itself in a layout and can pass the layout anything it wants to.
Okay. So if I wanted to get this other, well, not this header stuff, but if I had particular things in this HTML that I wanted in, Wouldn't you want to put the layout render call into the application view? Not because of the title.
No. So the application view, this is slightly confusing, I think. Application view in Phlex is more like an application record than an application.html.erb. Right? It doesn't wrap all of your other views. Instead, it's like an abstract view that other views inherit from. So, as an example, if I wanted to do something that would apply to any of my other views, for example, here we include the Rails roots. We can do that in the application view, and then all the other views that inherit from that have access to it. We could define a method here, and all of our other views would have access to it. But the application view itself is never rendered. If that makes sense.
Okay, so this is more like the model of application controller.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You never actually instantiate an application controller or an application record. They're just these abstract classes that are inherited from.
That I can put base stuff in that everybody needs.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not actually ever going to call one of these. So I could. So could I, if my layout was going to be the same for everything, but I had some customization in my layout, could I put it in here?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you could, yes. You would define... Well, you would kind of have to... Could you put it in here? You could define a template in here, and then from your other views in the template, they could call super, do, and then define their own stuff inside that. And that would then come up to the template method defined in the application view. So you could definitely do that, right? Okay. Instead of here where we say render layout new, we could just say super, and that goes up to the application's implementation of template. And that's definitely a valid way to use it.
Okay, so just to experiment.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So we're trying to put this in the application view.
Mm-hmm. So you'll need to define.
So here I wouldn't actually want to put type.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to take that somehow. You'd need to pass the title up. You could pass it as an argument to template if you wanted to. So you could say super and then pass it the title. That's one way you could do it. Right. In fact, I don't know which version of Ruby you're using, but that might be implicit. You could probably get rid of the.
Oh, yes, it probably. You're right. I forgot they had changed that.
You'd have to just do the keyword title and then leave it blank.
Yep.
I wish I could type.
So do I. I'll have to do some more setup on this thing.
Apparently my session ended as well. I can't access the session, so I'm just watching on Zoom right now. But
yeah, it said
it's okay. It's close enough that I can see what you're doing.
Okay.
So this render layout.new is going to have to be inside a definition of template on the application view if we want to do this pattern.
Oh. Inside the definition. Okay.
So we're gonna because that's so if you do def template and then but don't copy the include. That needs to be above the definition, right? And this render now doesn't actually need to take a block, do the do block. You could just pass the block that template is received. So if you make template receive a block as an argument, you could just use an anonymous ampersand. And then after the title colon, you can just say comma ampersand again.
Yeah, pass the block down. Okay.
And we're going to need to make it take template as an argument as well. Sorry, not template, title. So template needs to be
template needs it.
Able to receive the title argument. Yeah. And then comma. Yeah, I think that should work. So if we call
I see, because this is
do here. Right. And put the H1 inside it.
Come on, fingers.
Yeah, and we need to pass super the title argument as well. But yeah, that's... Oh, something's not quite lining up. We might have one too many ends there. I think we need to dedent or outdent. I can't read any of these chat messages. The quality is so bad on the screen.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's like Zoom being really weird.
But you could call super from the subclass, so you also render the template method from the application view. Right. Which is essentially what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Also here, a default value would make sense since that's what the old application layout did. Template title, Goblin Grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That is a valid point. That damn thing. I quick here.
This is so interesting. I've never used this pattern of actually defining a template on the application view and then calling super from the template on other pages. That's an interesting pattern. And of course, you could even make it receive as an argument the layout to render, right? It's rendering layout right now, but you could make that an argument if you wanted to. That perhaps defaulted to layout.
Block has to be last. Is it still positional in 3.1?
Yeah. So you could say template : layout.
Template.
If you wanted to. Or layout : layout, capital L.
Class name.
Right, and then you can just replace the capital L layout down here with the lowercase layout. And then
that's
you have
interesting.
the ability from a subclass to actually swap out the layout that it's rendered into.
Yeah, so I could override a particular layout, which I will want to do later down the project.
Yeah.
But this gives me the ability to not only have a default title, in case I forget one, but also to override the layout without having to specify it in every...
Yes.
So then I only... Oh. No, because I essentially need to do the template in every call, right? I mean, that's the basic thing, is the template def.
Right.
But I don't have to do...
Render page. You will have to do super do.
Yeah.
Every time. And the only other way... I guess there's a way around this, which is that you could... you wouldn't be able to pass a method up to it, but instead of calling... Sorry, any arguments up to it, you could prepend a method on top that would wrap it. But I don't know if that's a great pattern, to be honest.
Yeah, well...
What I tend to do is my pages are very light. There's almost nothing going on in them. Essentially, all they are is passing some arguments into the layout. So they say render this particular layout, and they pass the arguments in, like the title and whatever information the layout needs to know. And then typically they will just render, I don't know, like notes list component, or an pagination component, or like notes new form component, or something like that. And so the pages themselves are actually very light, and so it's not I've never found it to be too cumbersome to have to say, render layout do in the pages. Yeah, don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I mean, this may be, kind of a pedantic thing that we're doing, but I think it's an interesting thing,
Mm-hmm.
because what I could then do is actually dump this structure out to a helper to alias that, so that I have an easy way to plug it in for every one of these things I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a standard way
another
to
thing
call
you
this.
could do that might be nice, actually. Instead of having to pass... Okay, so instead of having to pass the layout as an argument to super, right, we could just define a method called layout, right? And if you override that method in a subclass, then whenever the superclass definition of template calls it, it's still going to be overridden. So that might be a really nice way to do it. Actually, is to just say, def layout equals, and just have that return layout. If you get rid of the end, you can just do space equals space layout and do a single line. I think if you're in nice new Rubies.
Yeah, well, this is should be 3.1.
Nice.
Yeah, so then
right, so
I
now
don't
we
have
can
to
get
do
rid of the
this.
argument down here, and everything will still work.
Yeah.
Right? But we get the opportunity to just override that method from any subclass if we want to have it render in a different layout.
Yeah, and I've got a nice tight way to override things easily without it forcing me to put a bunch of crap in when I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
I like this.
Yep.
I like this. So, and that shouldn't have changed this at all. So now all I need to do if I want to change the layout...
I mean, you could move if you wanted to, you could move the title argument to a method instead, right? On this page, we could just define type. Well, actually, we wouldn't want to define title because title is an HTML element.
True. That'd be a mess. I mean,
not that you use that title outside of the context of the layout, but yeah, that there might be an issue there.
Well, so if I guess that depends on how you want to title pages. If you want them all to be like the title of your app, it would be best to define that in the top level stuff and just that's the default, right, unless you specifically change it. But if every one of your pages is going to have a different title, that buys you nothing.
Yeah.
The good news is
what I typically do, because for SEO, you ideally do want every page to have a title. I typically make the title a keyword argument without a default, and then that forces you to provide a title that's unique for each page, which I think is nice to have that option.
Oh, I agree. But something else is, don't I generally want each page to do something like this for better SEO?
Mm-hmm.
I want like a root for every page, but then it has the customization.
Sure. Yeah. So you could just make title required, but then go into layout.rb and make it use, you see where it has title is at title on line, I think 18.
Yep.
We could just do a string here with interpolation. So we could wrap that in a string, interpolate the...
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Have the thing.
Oh, it doesn't have the nice shortcut.
No.
Right.
I forgot to set that.
And then you can
stuff
put
up.
your default title on the end.
Yep. Yep, that's the better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like this. I'm still enthused about Phlex.
Awesome.
Because this is Poro. This is the way my brain works. It doesn't work with damn ERBs. I don't like HTML. It's that. Bleh. This is better.
Yeah. It's really nice when you get into doing things like in any context, you can just define what an H1 does. Like my H1, maybe it has some utility classes on it by default.
So these are actually defs in Phlex.
Yes.
Yes,
and you can override them. So
nice.
So you could override H1 and say, actually it's super, but with the class of font bold and text XL. And now every time you use an H1 in that class or a subclass of that class, you have those default attributes of like class font bold, text XL.
So that means Phlex is also my CSS.
Kinda, yeah. If you use utility classes from Tailwind, it's kind of your CSS as well.
So I don't have to write frickin' CSS files anymore.
Yeah, I think you can avoid a lot of CSS. I think you can also avoid you can definitely avoid these kinds of like implicit connections between CSS classes and the markup that they're meant to like style. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time you have quite complex components that consist of lots of elements, outer elements and inner elements, and these elements need to be constructed in a way that they are like have to be in a specific order with specific classes on specific types of elements, and that's kind of all implicit. Every time you copy that and paste it somewhere else and use the same CSS classes, it's entirely implicit that that markup relates to those set of CSS classes. But if you define a component for it that just takes data, takes arguments, and outputs the correct markup with the correct CSS classes on it, and those classes may as well even be utility classes from Tailwind or something, then you end up being able to just entirely encapsulate everything about that component. And even with things like stimulus, you can compose behavior with those components as well. So you can have components that have behavior because they're tied to stimulus controllers. And that's just all in Ruby.
Joel, you've made me want to do front-end programming again.
Yes, this is great.
You're a freaking genius, dude. Oh, I love this because this makes sense to me.
Yep.
ERB can kiss my butt. And for any of you guys out in chat that love ERB, what's wrong with you? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's...
No, I know a lot of people.
I really struggle with it.
It's just, yeah, and I mean, there are people that like the HTML ERB stuff because that's where they learned and that's the way their brains work, but that Poros are much better for my brain.
Yeah. And we're going to get into stuff that is like beyond HTML as well. So Phlex, I said this morning that basically we're going to have abstractions for SVGs, Atom, RSS, JSON, and probably with validators as well that you can mix in. So like if you have a JSON view and you want it to conform to JSON API, you'll be able to mix in like the JSON API helper that will make sure that you can, or like assist you in writing JSON API compliant views, that kind of thing.
Oh, sweet Lord. I love this. Oh, okay. I don't have to be just a platform programmer anymore now.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty cool when you have, and like if you have a consistent set of utility classes that you can share, then you can like put really abstract things in libraries and then just share them between multiple apps as well.
Right. Well, and I understand how to, if I take Phlex, I understand how to make it my own in my project without having to
Right.
learn a completely different DSL.
Right. Yeah.
So that's just a happy thing. Uh-oh, what did I do?
Oh, what's this? No anonymous block parameter. Are we not capturing a block from?
Oh,
Which file is that? That's the... I think that was here.
no, the index
Index.
here.
No, we're not. There's no anonymous block there. Which file was it? I think it might have been the application.
Oh, the application view. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
So it doesn't like that we're passing an anonymous block down here on line 10. What is line 9? Is that definitely capturing an anonymous block?
Well, it looks like it.
I think I know what this is. Right. Oh, this is really silly. So the block actually shouldn't be passed to new. It should be passed to render. So it's on the wrong side of the parens there. Yeah, that should do it. That's confusing.
Oh, that's just ugly to me. My brain doesn't like that.
Yeah.
That syntax, but
I think maybe it would be nicer to wrap the whole thing, like the whole render thing, in parentheses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just get rid of that space.
Okay, my brain likes that better.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no way to... Because we let you control your initializer, and we don't do anything to, like, monkey patch whatever definition of... like, we don't patch the new method. You actually can't receive a block to that new method.
Right.
It has to go to the render method, which we control. There was... Before, I had it so that you could define your own initializer, but we actually overrode self.new, so the class method new, to have it accept a block, and then it would call initialize. But it was a significant performance like setback, basically. I think maybe like new is native or something, and it's just so fast, but when you override it, it's a lot slower. So removing that was, I think, something like a 40% performance bump.
Oh, wow. Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
that's
so
not
just
worth
not
that
worth
performance hit.
The cost.
There's other ways to do that stuff if we need to, so. Okay. It's still having a...
Is it not working? Let's see. No anonymous block parameters.
Desktop.
That's really weird. I wonder if it would help to just give it a name. I'm struggling to see the...
Yeah, I don't understand.
Try naming it something like ampersand content. I can't actually see all the text to try to figure out what might be going wrong.
Okay.
Maybe I should probably try to watch the stream on Twitch. I bet that would be high quality.
Oh, it should be.
Let me get that up in the background.
Shouldn't the block be in front of the Quarg? I thought blocks had to come last. They not?
They do, yeah. On it, it's weird, but maybe try just naming it something. Yeah, and then do that on line 9 as well. Bit of a weird...
Boy, if that fixes it, I'm gonna have to research. Oh, come on. Come on, Ribby.
What?
You're better than that.
That's weird. I wonder if that's like some kind of edge case in Ruby where it can't... I have run into this once before, and I don't know why.
Hey, Rebuilt. Welcome to the show. Rebuilt is the one who figured out how to get our tests working, so everybody say thanks to Rebuilt.
Thank you.
Just so you guys know, they are working on test helpers for Phlex, so those will be coming out soon. In fact, I may pull some early branches and start testing those out on the stream, and I'll break your stuff for you, Jill. Sorry.
Thanks. That'd be awesome. Yeah, you can definitely just set in your gem file to pull from main.
Yeah.
It's usually the thing is, what you won't get is me telling you, hey, these are the changes that I've made, and these are the breaking changes. So yeah, you'll just like one day you'll run your tests and they'll fail because I've renamed a method or done something.
You don't update those every commit? Come on, man. You mean you actually want to get work done? Something accomplished? Yeah. Come on.
It's a tough time to be using it because it is in a lot of like flux at the moment. And some features in particular, like there's like a feature that allows you to create collections and a feature that allows you to create tables from a DSL. They're really, really unstable and probably going to change a lot. So I wouldn't touch those. We're getting towards somewhere where it's like beginning to get a lot more stable.
That's cool. I mean, I don't mind the instability in this case because this is just a funsies project, right? So if it blows up, I'll just, yell at you on Twitter and you'll help me. So,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm not,
So we're back in the controller, and this is where I would say, so the normal thing you would do is you would say like assign an instance variable and you'd make like a database query. I think this is a notes controller, right? So you might say instance variable notes equals note.all. Instead of doing that.
Yeah. So this would be the normal thing.
That's the normal thing you would do, right? But the Phlex view is entirely isolated from your controller. It cannot pick up stuff from your controller implicitly. You can access things from the controller, like the request, through helpers, but it doesn't like copy down the instance variables. So what you need to do actually is pass your notes into this new method as like a keyword argument or a positional argument. Yeah. I'd usually just do, on a new line, keyword argument notes. And then you can get rid of line 5.
Oh, right, yeah.
Keeps it nice and tidy.
Right,
and if you're passing multiple things in, it usually makes sense to say, like, put it on a new line from here. Yeah, I find that just looks really nice in a controller.
Yeah, well, I generally will.
If it's
do
just one thing, then it's probably not what you want to do.
Although there's something to be said for just being in that habit, because when you're scanning through these things, even with just one parameter, if they're all the same, it's easier to scan.
Yes. And it's a lot closer to what you would have had before, where you would assign an instance variable on one line and then just use it implicitly.
Right. And reducing lines of code isn't all that terribly important in modern programming. Readability is much more important than that. Right.
That's why I like to use keyword arguments here as well, because you've got that readability. You know exactly what you're passing it in as. And the thing that you're passing it might be quite long as well. Like, we're obviously not just going to do note.all eventually. It's going to be scoped and things like that.
Could be all kinds of weird crap.
Yeah.
So if I do that, I don't.
So you now need to define an initializer.
Yep.
And this is just a plain Ruby object, so you can just define initialize to take notes as a keyword argument. And just assign it to an instance variable. That's what I usually do.
Yep.
I think some people have been using... there are a bunch of different extensions out there for Ruby that make kind of like setting up your initializers a bit easier if they're pretty standard. Kind of more like structs. I think there's one from DryRB, But I mean, I don't mind just like it's a bit repetitive having to assign everything in an initializer, but I don't mind it too much.
Okay, I'm gonna take a guess that I can do that.
Yes, you can.
A DSL that makes sense. I love this.
Yeah, you don't have to switch between like, am I outputting? Is this like an output tag versus is this an ERB tag versus HTML? You can just do that.
Cool. Are there open source projects using Phlex that I can look at to learn the patterns?
Yes. The best one I think right now is, well, there's the Phlex documentation itself, which is all written in Phlex.
Yeah, Phlex.fun is really good.
But if you go into the Phlex repo and look at the docs folder, you can see how the documentation itself is built. And it's not the prettiest Phlex. It was written in quite a hurry, but there's some really interesting things in there. Like, I think a good one would be if you go into components and then look at code block. So this is a component that takes code and a syntax, and then it uses Rouge to syntax highlight that code, and then it lexes the code and it outputs it. And this is how we do all the syntax highlighting in that Phlex documentation.
But now, see, the thing I love about this so much is that my views are very much like business logic now.
Right.
They're not so completely separate, and I don't have to context switch my brain if I'm going to work on a view for something and then context switch back to get that view to work.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna love this.
You should see another example. If you go back one step, there is, if you look at the tabs component, right? So tabs basically, the template method just outputs the wrapper, and then it defines a public method for the tab. So when we use this, we can say render tabs do t, and then we can say t.tab, and we can pass in the name of the tab, and then do, and then the content of the tab. And we've just defined a DSL, right? Just by making this tab method public as opposed to private, it is exposed to like where we want to use it. Which I think is pretty awesome, because when we yield the block inside the template method, the default is to yield self to the block, right? So when you're using you're actually rendering this tabs group object, and you want to put content inside it. The first argument you can pick up that's yielded to it is the tabs object, which exposes this method.
That's cool.
I think there's not a simple example of using this, because I use the tabs only to actually in another component, which is the example component. You could look at that one. It's a bit more complex. The example component is fun. It puts tabs and
this thing.
It puts tabs and code blocks together, and basically what this does is it allows you to give a tab some Ruby code, and then it will execute that code in an anonymous module, and then you can give it some code to produce the output, and it will execute that, and it will basically build you a list of tabs that have Ruby code, and then the output that's generated, and the output's formatted as HTML. So if you go, I'll give you an example of this. If we just find on the documentation one of our examples that uses, maybe if you go down a bit to accessing, here we go, here, rendering views, right? So this one has a first tab with example.rb, and it actually renders hello.new, right? And if you click on hello.rb, you can see that code. And if you click on output, the output here is generated when we build the documentation by executing the first two tabs.
Oh, so this renders this.
They're actually executed. So I know that these are correct examples. They're not just made up examples that might have bugs.
So you didn't just write this, hard code this in.
No,
this is
I
actually
didn't write that at all.
Rendered.
That was generated.
Okay.
So if you look at the, I think it's docs/pages/views.rb and look for rendering views, you can see how this is actually written in our docs. I think it's up to docs and then pages. Yeah.
And then where?
And then views.rb. And I think if you can just search for rendering views. Here we go. So you can see we use the example component and we give it e.tab, which is our first one. Then we give it our second one. And then we give it e.execute, which is what we want to execute to generate the output. And this is our example component, uses the tabs component and the code block component together to create those things.
Wow.
Pretty fun.
Wow. Holy crap. My brain is spinning with all kinds of weird shit I can do with this.
Yeah. And like these are really abstract, right? That tabs component could just be in a library that you install as a gem, and then you just have access to their constants. So there's a bit of difficulty with like how like that library would have to be using Tailwind as well as, and you'd have to tell Tailwind to search that library, the Tailwind JIT to search for that library. But yeah, like I think there are ways that we can make this even better, especially around, I'm exploring at the moment the possibility of having components that render as like declarative shadow DOM. So you can actually just define CSS and JavaScript that's specifically scoped to the one component and won't leak and like affect other things.
Nice.
Yeah.
So talking about patterns, chat, we can be proud that we actually introduced a new pattern here that Joel and team hadn't thought of before, and
yeah,
now we've introduced. So here's an open source project you can look at to learn a new pattern that you can't see anywhere else yet.
The question was about examples. Another example is there is a very small and simple Twitter clone in Sinatra called Phlex Sinatra. I think. Let's see if we can find out on GitHub. Let me see if I can just drop you the link in chat.
I don't know if the links will come through in chat, but you can Twitter link me.
All right. See if I can find it. I'm going to send it to you on Twitter.
Okay.
There we go.
Might come through someday. There we go. Okay.
So if you just open server.rb, it's a single file Twitter clone, which is pretty awesome.
Wow.
So there's the layout, there's the index, there's the, I think, tweet list or something like that. And there's the form, and it actually works as well. You can run it and it pretty much just works.
Son of a gun. So let me ask you, this is probably an opinion thing, but
Sure.
you know, the standard way of setting up views where you've got a file for your index view and a file for your show view and a file for this view and that view and that.
Mm-hmm.
This has me thinking that maybe that's not really a good way to do it in this paradigm, because since these are poros,
Mm-hmm.
and they're classed and moduled the way that they are,
Right.
maybe it's better to do it this way and keeps the
You can do
file
it
structure.
however you want. I typically follow the kind of Zeitwerk name, or the Zeitwerk naming convention, where I just have a name. The folder's called views, right? So everything is in the views module, and then I would have like articles index would be views/articles/index.rb, and I usually have like articles/table or articles/list or articles/show or articles/article, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just namespace. You could just have a single articles.rb that had, the module articles and then a bunch of classes inside it, and they were all just in one file. That would be fine. I think sometimes that makes sense, especially if your files are like really short.
Yeah.
But depending on how big they are, I think it can help to separate into different files.
But I'm just thinking, the Rails way of doing this, because the controllers, I mean, you could of course overwrite this, but the default way is they're expecting to find this particular file in this particular location.
Right.
But with Phlex, I'm specifically saying, hey, just render this class.
Right. But it's constant, and you could define that constant in the controller if you wanted to.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So that gives me a lot of flexibility in my structure.
Yeah. That is partly, I think, what makes it quite fast as well compared with ActionView is ActionView has to like take strings and then try to figure out based on like various different rules, like where on earth the file is, and then has to read the file and interpret it. Whereas whenever you render a Phlex view, it's just a constant, which is very fast in Ruby. Like constant lookups are instantaneous. Yeah, I think that is an advantage. But it also means that like you don't have to have all your views in one folder. You could use views that were like coming from a gem.
Yep.
Right?
So, yeah, as long as the class name is available, I don't care where it is.
Yeah. So I think, for example, you could define a gem called like Bootstrap, and you could have like whatever, like Bootstrap tabs or Bootstrap button, could all be components that you just install. Yep.
Oh my God, wow. I actually want to do front-end programming again now.
This is awesome. Great.
I mean, this is somebody who, for the past 10 years, has said, if you show me another front-end program that I need to do, I'm going to start knocking people's hats off. Now I actually want to do it because it makes sense, finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Oh, Joel, you're a genius.
Thanks.
Man, oh crap. Okay, I want to do this for another 4 or 5 hours, but unfortunately, the wife will kick my ass if I'm on here past time. So,
Okay.
See the flexibility as being a con. The more you stray away from the expected naming convention, the harder it is to understand an unfamiliar project. I completely agree with that, Rebuilt. There is something to be said for, like I said, hey, I could take all these and put them in a single file. Well,
yeah.
I was also thinking about, yes, but if I bring somebody in, or I'm, from outside, and they look at this, they're going to go, what the hell is this all about? Whereas if we keep the same structure, while the render calls are different and the contents are different, at least the structure makes sense, and they can say, well, this is what is presenting this view. Right?
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you, Rebuilt.
I think a lot of IDEs now let you just jump to definition, which can be helpful. but also, yeah, I mean, I think that Zeitwerk is kind of the answer to this. And I think that we'll probably see, not just for views, but for other Ruby things, following Zeitwerk's naming convention will become quite standard. In Phlex itself, I basically set up Zeitwerk, and then I don't use any require statements at all. If I have a module, it's going to be where Zeitwerk expects it to be. And that's just because it just gives you so much consistency. And I think that consistency for views can also apply actually to other things. Like your models should obviously be in a sensible place, and so should your controllers. But yeah, you do have the flexibility to put it in other places and like to patch things or whatever if you really want to. You know, you've got a lot of sharp knives, but that doesn't mean that you should use them irresponsibly. Like,
yeah, I mean, watch where you're cutting.
Don't juggle them.
Watch where your fingers are while you're cutting, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Rebuilt, that's a good point. And it's something that,
it is,
you know, on the show, we keep coming back to too, because we talk to a lot of, and for a lot of junior developers, and having that consistency in structure is important to helping you learn, because then you don't have to keep learning a new structure every time you change your code base, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. I'm just kind of mind blown at the fact that views are completely open now to whatever the hell I want to do with them. And I do think this will make gemming up view packs a lot easier.
Right.
I mean, I see a lot of value in that.
I think especially with declarative web components, that will be even better, because then you can make a component that doesn't depend on, say, you using Tailwind, right? Your component can just come with its own styles and things, and allow you to use whatever front-end framework you want to use. I think there will probably end up being like a bunch of libraries of components that are tied to specific frameworks like Tailwind, and I think that's fine, but I'd like to enable people to make libraries of components that are not tied to that. I'm working on we'll be working on a library of components myself, just like things like tabs and you know, buttons and things that we use all the time. You know, it's just nice to be able to just pull these in. I think it would be really awesome to have the flexibility of like having the standard things like you get from Bootstrap, but then also the ability to really easily make your own things using Tailwind instead. And that's kind of where this all came from. I just don't know if I'll ever finish the framework and get to building my library, but
well,
yeah,
baby steps.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I can do stuff like this too. I can take an existing ERB and just call the renders for bits of it as I'm slowly converting ERBs over to Phlex, right? I mean, this is contrived.
You can, yeah, you can render partials, ERB partials inside Phlex views.
But can I render Phlex partials inside an ERB like this?
Yes, you can. Okay. But I don't know what you're passing there.
Oh, I just garbage.
Right. You would have to say render space and then the constant .new. So like you could say render space.
I mean, it would be
notes.new. Views notes.new.
Right. So just like I would be doing in the test.
Right.
Here.
Exactly like that, yeah. Yeah, so and even you can then put things inside them. So you can say you could define, I don't know, a card component or a tabs component. In fact, you could almost do this. Do you want to copy and paste? I don't know if it'll work. You could almost copy and paste the tabs component that I made in my docs, and then you could just render it from ERB, and then you can render inside a tab. You can carry on writing your ERB.
Oh shit.
You can get back into ERB and carry on writing ERB, and like put ERB fragments into Phlex views.
What you're
Yeah,
saying is
you could pretty much just copy that class. I think you'd also need the individual tab class.
Which is outside of this.
Oh, you need that last method first as well. Yeah.
Just gonna take the whole bloody thing. That here and then save this. So I want this under a components.
I would probably just call it like views tabs.rb or something, and just rename that module so Zywork picks it up. Yeah, nice.
Okay.
And I think I would go and copy tab.rb as well from my thing.
Is that in the components?
Yeah, I think it's tab/tab. It'll be this folder. Yeah. And to be honest, you should probably just paste it into the same file, right? Just from. Don't grab the components wrapper though.
Oh, not the module.
Not the module, just the class. Yeah. And then leave out the last end. Yeah. So just paste that inside the tab, I guess just above the initializer. So it's inside that tab's namespace. Yeah, and that should work. Right, let's try and use this.
Tabs, tab.
Wait, this use tabs. Oh yeah, oops. Yeah, you're gonna have to get rid of one of those. Sorry.
Okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't confused on something.
No, it should just be tabs tab. And to be honest, I should probably have called tabs like a tab group or something, but this is fine for now.
Yeah.
Right. So, in theory, we should be able to use this even from ERB.
From an ERB.
Even from an ERB, yeah. I don't know if we have any ERB that renders right now. But
really, no, I don't have an ERB that renders right now.
You could make it render just by tweaking the controller if you want.
Yeah.
Or we could go back to, we could just render it into Phlex, but it's kind of more impressive to render it from ERB. Even though I don't like ERB.
Yeah, right. Am I not looking? Oh, it's not what I was.
No, it's controller, right? I think if you just comment out this render and comment out layout false, then we should be back to going back to ERB.
Yeah, so I'll want to.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do this.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you can say here render. It will be views tabs.new, and then do, and then capture T. Yep. And then do your end thing. And then do another one, do T.tab. And the first argument is the name. I would not use parens, so you can say do.
Ah.
Oh, actually, no, you can use do. I'm being really silly. You can. Parens are fine. Whatever. And then just do and leave it open. Right. And then add another end. But between those two tags, you can then just do some ERB. Hopefully this will work. Live demo.
So this should be a thing.
That should be a thing. I think that will work. The styling might not be right unless you've got Tailwind set up. Well, in fact, the styling will definitely not be right. Oh, what's this? Missing template.
Well, that's...
Oh, because we put this in the application.html.erb, but we probably don't have a notes/index.html.erb.
Correct. Right. Starting of notes. Oh, that's my spec.
Yeah, I think that can just be blank, and it will still work. Oh, what's this? I can't read it.
It doesn't know what views tabs is, so I got.
Is that site work playing up? Is it in views/tabs.rb?
Pretty sure that's where I put it. Views tabs.rb. Yeah.
Okay. And if we go into there again, let's just double check. We have the module views and then class tabs. That should be working.
I think, unless I've got something.
Yeah. Did you run the Phlex installer? So Zitework is definitely looking in views.
I think so. Is it idempotent? I'll run it again.
Yeah, I think you could run it again. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's idempotent. It should be, shouldn't it?
Okay, that's okay.
Maybe just double check. I think it's application.rb is where you configure your autoloaders, and it should just add app to it. I think it's config application or something like that.
Keep hitting my Mac keyboard shortcuts. That's driving me nuts.
Where is it? I'm gonna quickly look at my installer script. It's gotta be here somewhere.
Autoload paths, root app.
Have you got app in there?
Yeah.
Weird.
I mean, that was what Rails 7 just put out. Because I haven't...
Hold on a second. Rails 7 wouldn't have done that. No, that's the Phlex installer did that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's weird. It Well, let's just require it.
Oh, require in the...
Like, do a require relative or something. Or... It's weird.
Yeah, but where would I want to...
You could just, at the top of the application.html.erb, do an ERB tag that, like, requires it, I guess? Or, yeah...
No, I can't do it.
Do it from...
I mean, I guess I could do it from...
You can probably do it from anywhere. I know it's so weird. This should not be...
Views.tabs plural or views.tab?
Yeah, we definitely got... I actually can't see your screen, so I can't see if there's any, like, minor typos. You can see, like, blurry text, but it's not clear, like,
yeah.
Whether there's an S on the end or something.
Yeah, I got to get that screen share figured out.
We should try the tuple beta sometime.
Yep.
For Linux.
I will be happy to do that. I'll download that because you sent me that link, so I'll download that before next week, and maybe I can get you back on next week too. Play with tuple.
Okay.
I'm happy to have company. But what the hell are we looking for?
Work. Hold on, we had a file running before, didn't we? There was what index.rb works, doesn't it? Notes/index.rb is being loaded.
Well,
I'm gonna try.
I mean, yeah, but we didn't have this in it. Didn't have the views tab stuff. Squawking about. Damn it.
But it's a name error in notes index. Oh, notes index has the name error.
Yeah.
Can I see that can I see that error again one more time?
Yep.
Notes index. We don't have views behind that tab. Is that views : tabs?
Yep.
.new?
Yep. Which I'm pretty sure is how it's
says invalid constant. Is that right? I can't read it.
uninitialized constant, yeah.
Uninitialized constant.
Views tabs. Which I don't understand, except that it's not loaded.
Sidework should be doing that. Okay, quick hack. Let's jump into the controller and just see if we can, before rendering, just like get Sightwork to load this up. So just do like capital views : tabs, and just leave it at that. See what happens now.
You start the server for good luck. That may be a thing to do.
Yeah. I feel like we must have put it in the wrong file or something, because Sightwork is pretty bug-free.
While that's booting, let me just check and make, because it's tabs. Yeah,
right.
So views, tabs.
It's definitely in the views file.
Yeah.
We haven't called it like views component tabs inside the file, have we?
No, it's directly under the views
right.
directory. So, and it's views,
Module
tabs,
views, class tab, and then class tab. That's fine.
Yeah. It's not in the views folder. How? What? Huh?
Oh, it's outside the view.
Oh, good God! How did?
Oh my God! That'll be why. Who was that? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Marco. We knew that all along. We were just testing you, chat. That's how it was. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There we go. Boom. Right. Okay. What's this looking like?
It's not looking like much of anything yet, but.
What's the source code?
Oi. It's just putting out. It's not putting that out. Okay, what did I do wrong here?
Oh, did you use equals on your output?
My output.
Your output tags in the ERB. They need to be equals tags.
Oh, right. Yeah.
No, it'd be the
No.
ERB file, application.html.erb, I think.
That one.
Right. So we need an equals behind that render, and then we need an equals behind that T as well. I think that'll do it.
Yep. There we go.
Works. Yes!
Son of
Right.
a bitch. So now, all right.
So the styling's broken, right? But you've got everything. You've got the H2 content. If you look at the markup, hey, you might even be able to click between them, right? There's no JavaScript involved in this tab component.
Well, we've only got one tab though, right?
Oh, let's add another one.
Yep. So I should be able to do, well, basically,
just copy it.
This.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Yep. Now the styling is really messed up, but if you had the styling, it would work. Maybe just quickly use Tailwind CDN. Just add. I'll send you a link.
just noticed YouTube won't show messages if you have file name .rb in the message. Really? Huh. I wonder if that's a setting I can override in YouTube or if that's just a YouTube thing. Seems like that must be a default setting in their chat manager.
I'm trying to find I think you just add this. Are you on Twitter? I'll send it to you.
I am.
Add that to. Oh, no, you're in ERB now, aren't you? Let me type that out in ERB.
Okay. Oh, I see. You just wanting to add the.
I think you can just add this to your head,
Yeah.
and you'll get. I think you'll get all the styling for Tailwind.
So you are specifically using Tailwind internally on Phlex?
No, but those components use Tailwind classes, right?
Okay.
Like that. So the docs, the Phlex documentation has Tailwind, and so I use Tailwind classes to style the tabs. I think you should get styled tabs now if you load the page again. No.
Oh.
What?
Okay, I obviously.
Oh, I didn't close quote or something. That script. Is that
No,
script
it's closed. I don't see any
wrong?
syntax.
Does it need slash script? It probably needs a slash script on the end. It's not a void element. It's a standard element.
Yep. There we
There
go.
you go. Now you can click between them, right? Can you?
Well,
Not quite.
got
I
here.
wonder why that is.
I don't know where this 2 is coming from.
That's really weird. 2 and 3.
I mean, this is here, but it's not showing
Right.
because it's hidden. Yep. Which makes sense.
I mean,
'cause
these
that's what you would do.
components weren't designed to. Let me have a quick read of them to see what is in them. Docs, tabs. Possible that I'm like depending on some
That could be.
weird thing. Flex wrap or equals tab list. No, this is. Should work.
See anything that looks.
Like working tabs. What's the source code it's giving you? I wish I could see what it was. It looks
Is
very close. It should generate a radio button, a label, and a div for every tab. That's better, right? So we get the radio button, we get the label, and we get the div. They're just not being styled correctly.
Yeah.
I know what it is. I have some like specific CSS in my Tailwind config that is non-standard Tailwind for this, because there's like specific adjacent selectors that I had to use to like display and hide the tabs.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that'll be why it's not working. But it's producing the right markup.
Yeah.
In fact, look, you can see when you click between them.
Yep. It's actually changing the things.
It's actually changing the thing.
So it's all working. This is more of a CSS problem than anything.
Right.
So
yeah.
that's fine. I can deal with that.
But you do get the H2 right inside them. Do you want to have a quick look in the markup to make sure that?
Yeah. There was H2s in there.
There it is.
Yep.
What is that random 2 though?
That I don't know yet, but I mean, obviously it's in here somewhere.
I'm gonna test this later and try to figure out where that 2 is coming from.
Well, it could just be that I had
It's possible. It's possible it's a bug.
I am really not sure because I don't see it in here. And we're doing a yield. Is it possible that I've put something in? Nope, there's nothing in there.
No, I reckon that might be a bug.
Okay.
Well, thanks for finding a bug.
Hey, sure, man.
That's helpful.
So yeah, well, I'll commit this and push it back up and send you the link to the repo if you want to have a look at this too.
I will go and fix that bug. I think it's probably coming from basically we set IDs for these tabs. If you look in the tabs component, actually, you can see that the last thing. Yeah, this will be it. This will be where the bug is coming from. If you look at the method, so def tab, right? The last line is index plus equals 1.
Yep.
And that is just so that our tabs can have an index on them.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit of an ugly way to do it, but it looks like that is being rendered.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Because we're rendering. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's actually a bug.
Because it's actually rendering this.
Rendering it. It shouldn't render it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it shouldn't render it because... Oh, I know why it's not rendering. Why it's rendering it. So the reason that it shouldn't render it is because above it, we actually did something that changed the output buffer. But because of the context that we're in, being in ERB, Phlex isn't able to detect that the output buffer has changed.
So if we had done this
so it
from
thinks that
a Phlex,
it thinks that this is the content, because you know how you can just pass content as like directly into a block. So I can say like h1 open block and then just pass a string. The way that it's able to know whether it should use the output as opposed to not using the output is basically has this block actually modified the buffer already. Yeah, I think I can fix this quite easily.
So Marco in the chat says that if we just take the equals off of that, thinks that should fix.
Marco.
Marco, you're brilliant.
Yeah. Wait, do the tabs now work?
No, still have the CSS issue, but I mean that's tangential.
Right.
That's not a Phlex problem.
I should find a way to make if there's a way. Yeah. Okay. So that will be it, because all of the Phlex methods like render and everything return nil. So if you use the equals when you shouldn't, it doesn't output anything. But we defined the tab method, right? And we didn't make it return nil.
Right.
The other thing you could do instead of removing those equals would be to just update that tab method to have it return nil at the end, so it's more ERB compatible. Instead of
so I don't have to think
index.
so hard.
Right. Yeah, this is it.
Just that.
Thanks, Marco.
Marco, you're a genius too.
Yeah.
But between the two of you, I might actually learn something.
The render method here doesn't return something. It does something. It actually immediately updates the buffer. And that's the issue.
Okay. But this is a simple enough fix.
Yeah.
The problem is now if I'm using Phlex and I write my own components like this, I need to think about this stuff. But that's I'm not sure that that's really something that Phlex needs to take on, because there are plenty of things I need to think about if I'm using Phlex for stuff.
Sure.
This is not a
Yeah, I don't know if there's any way we can ensure that your kind of DSL methods always return nil just for ERB compatibility.
Yeah, but I mean, I think
what's
that's
cool is just how quickly you can make a DSL like this. Like being able to say t.tab, and literally all you need to do to make that work is have this method.
Yep. Oh, I love
be
this.
A public method. Yeah.
Well, because then I can do things like set up my own CSS framework, essentially. So I could make my own bootstrap like this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's
the whole idea. In Vue component, there's this concept of slots, which is kind of similar in terms of its interface, but it's quite complex, kind of how it works behind the scenes. Whereas this is just a method call. You just define a method and that's executed.
Oh, this is so brilliant. I love this. I'm gonna be doing some playing with some things. I mean, I'm gonna put this code up today so everybody can peek at what we've done so far. But yeah, I've got, oh my God, my brain is just spinning now. I'm gonna have to sleep on this and let all the cogs fall into place. But this is brilliant. I love this. I'm very glad that I decided to play with Phlex in this project.
Awesome.
So
I'm glad you feel that way. It's cool. I think, yeah, like once you get into backend dev and you realize how fun Ruby is as a language, you then go off front end because it's like it just doesn't feel as good.
Yeah. And that was exactly what my path was.
Yeah. I started as a front end dev actually. I did front end. I started in design and then I did front end development for a really long time. And then I got into back end development, and it just gradually was like more and more enjoying working with Ruby and working with object-oriented programming. I then had this period of like 5 or 6 years where I didn't touch the front end. And then I had to go back to the front end for a project that I was doing. And I was like, this sucks. This just really sucks. There's got to be a way to make it better. And that's where this kind of came from.
Okay. Well, that's all up. Yeah, I mean, I started full stack and then I found out that every time I was doing the back end Ruby stuff, I was really enjoying things. And every time I was having to work on the front end stuff, I just wanted to go home and sit in a corner and cry. So I was like, let me just do the back end stuff like all the time, and somebody else can do the front end crap. But now I can enjoy this because this is Ruby. So I thank you very much for that. Oh my God. I mean, it's because I like design and stuff, and I like full stacking it, but I just did not like working on the front end DSLs.
Yeah, same. What's this app that you're building here? Is it a game? I was joking about it being a
no, actually what it is it's for a game. I play D&D. Okay. I'm a DM, game master, and so what I'm trying to build, it's not terribly useful actually because Notion exists and stuff like that, but it's a note-taking app that can let me. There were some things that I wanted to do with like maps and images where I could pull up a map and click on it and have the notes explode right out of that, or have it zoom into a sub map and, you know, be able to navigate more easily than something like Notion, and have it do a lot of things for me automatically, like tagging things together. And so I just thought it'd be a fun project.
Is this to like keep track of a D&D world?
Yeah. So it's a lot of world building and note taking and and then sharing with doing stuff with authentication so that as the game master I can see all this stuff, but then I can have players in my group that can log in and see certain things, but they're restricted. Right?
Okay.
So it just sounded like it would be a fun project, long-term project where we could explore a lot of different things.
Right.
So
awesome.
And Phlex being one of them, you know, with that big a project, Phlex will be very integral to that stuff, and we will probably put it through the ringer. So
yes, that's what I need right now.
Yeah.
It needs to be tested and find all the bugs and report them, or like not just bugs, but like this thing is really frustrating, or whatever. Like, and we can try to make it better. There's a lot of work going on to get to like kind of a stable API for 1.0, which I'm doing simultaneously to working on the compiler, which is a whole other thing, which should make things a lot faster, like 10 to 100 times faster.
Oh, I'm all about that speed, boy. I love the speed. But this is
just really hard.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't envy you that task for sure. But
yeah.
But I look forward to the outcome of that.
It's kind of fun. It's a bit frustrating. I find that I can't work on the compiler like unless I know that I have like 4 hours to sit down and focus on it. If I feel like I'm gonna have to stop to do editing, like even just to have lunch, I don't even want to open the compiler and start even thinking about it. Like there's other stuff I can work on, but like my brain is just really struggling with all this stuff.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. Oh, that's a lot of brain power you got to put in that. I'm too old for that kind of brain power anymore. I've lost too many brain cells to put that much brain power on something. But
I find it really hard. I think sometimes that's why you'll see on the compiler there's basically like nothing will happen for a week, and then suddenly loads of stuff will happen because I've spent the entire day working on it. I've been like, there's no one around, I can just go into this and do it.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So I would love to, if you're available, to have you back on next week and we can play with Tuple and see if that works. Because I do want to figure out the technology to set up to allow people to come in and pair, and get some experience with pair programming. On here. So
I did a pairing session today with Casper using Tuple, and it went really smoothly. But that was all on Mac. It wasn't like.
Well, that's the reason I hadn't looked at Tuple, is because my understanding was it's Mac only, but apparently they're beta testing a Linux version now.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Right. And they also give free licenses away to open source stuff.
Awesome. So, because this had some things. So we'll try Tuple and see which one works better, because I really do want, people who come on here, I don't want them fighting with that technology. We're trying to learn programming. So, and the code together probably would work. I just don't know enough about it, and I've probably got some settings wrong and that kind of thing. So
it looked like it had some like issues with their CRDT algorithm.
Could be.
Like it wasn't really working properly.
Right. And like you say, it may just be something with the web part of it, because I suspect that they started with the plugins for the specific IDEs, and then the web was kind of an afterthought. Hey, so maybe it's not as fully fledged out as the other stuff, but you never know. But anyway, I very much appreciate you hanging out and teaching us today. This was a really fun episode for me, and the capabilities of Phlex are kind of blowing my mind at this point now that I'm starting to understand it more. So I really had a lot of fun with you here. I appreciate you coming and doing this, taking the time.
Thanks. This has been really good.
Yeah.
If you have any thoughts on how we can like better communicate these kinds of capabilities through the documentation site, that would be awesome as well, because I don't really know how to do that very well.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is, as we go through the docs, as we try to figure things out, I'll feed you back. Okay, I don't understand this.
That'd be awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So I will try to use the docs to understand things, but I will also use you as much as I can get hold of you to do it. Not the least of which is because it's really fun having you here to talk to and discuss these things with.
Thanks.
So,
all right.
Chat, I hope you really enjoyed that, and thank you, Joel. That was a lot of fun. We'll do this again next Thursday. The Thursday after that is Thanksgiving here in the U.S., so I won't be here. No, I'll be taking the week off. But
all right, it's been a pleasure. I will look up my schedule and get back to you on Twitter about that.
Awesome. Yeah, just message me. And chat, just keep coming. Everything's up in the repo now, so you can get hold of it and do whatever you want to do with it, or check it out, or just look around in it. We now have some kind of cool Phlex things, but we'll be getting more in depth into that. So thank you all very much, and we will see you probably Wednesday for the dev show. So you guys take it easy and happy programming. Bye.